Jumbo! My name is Bill Marion, and this is A Nose for Life. In this video, I'm taking you on a real safari to Lake Nakuru National Park. Located in central Kenya, about 3 hours north of Nairobi, Lake Nakuru National Park is world famous for its stunning scenery and diverse wildlife. The park spans over 70 square miles, which includes the surrounding savanna, woodlands, and rocky ridges. Lake Nakuru is a shallow alkaline lake characterized by high levels of sodium, carbonate, and other salts. Lake Nakuru is famous around the world for its huge flocks of flamingos, which are attracted to the algae thriving in the saline waters. In addition to flamingos, over 450 bird species have been recorded in the area, making it one of the best bird watching sites in the world. On this trip to Kenya, we were pressed for time. Our host, Pastor Machangi, planned for us to experience 2 different half-day safaris at 2 different locations. The first safari was in Nairobi, at Nairobi National Park. That's what my last safari video was about, and it was awesome. I'll leave a link to that video at the end of this video. But of the 2 safaris, this safari at Lake Nakuru was my favorite. This is a very unique video for our channel, and you're going to love it. But let me be honest, I'm out of my element. I'm certainly not an expert, but this experience was amazing, and I wanted to share what I saw and learned with you. As always, there are links in the description, and don't forget to leave a comment. Now go ahead and hit the like button, and let's begin our safari.
Oh, that's all right. That's their home, their family.
I mentioned this in my last safari video, but it's worth talking about again. Here in Nakuru, we're only 20 miles from the equator. You'd expect sweltering heat, and yet the weather is amazing. When we began this safari, temperatures were in the low 80s, and by evening, the temperatures fell into the upper 70s. The elevation here is over 6,000 feet, and we're surrounded by giant mountains. If you watch a lot of our videos, you already know that we love mountains. In fact, the majority of our videos are made in the mountains. During the drive from Nairobi to Nakuru, I knew we were increasing in elevation, but I was sitting in the back seat and couldn't see anything. Let me just tell you, I was miserable. So I opened Google Earth and started following along our route. We were crossing what may be the foothills of the Aberdare mountain range. While tracking on Google Earth, our elevation gradually increased to over 8,500 feet. We weren't even in the mountain range and we were already at 8,500 feet. Now keep in mind the highest peak in the Appalachian Mountains is Mount Mitchell, and it's under 7,000 feet. This may come as a shock, but mountains in Kenya are comparable to the Rockies, at least in elevation. In fact, Kenya's highest peak, Mount Kenya, is 17,000 feet. The highest peak in the contiguous United States is Mount Whitney, and it's only 14,500 feet. From what I could see and from what I've learned since, the Aberdare Mountains here in Kenya are enormous, green, full of diverse wildlife and amazing waterfalls, and they have magnificent shapes. The Aberdare Range is east of Lake Nakuru and reaches elevations up to 13,120 feet at its highest peak. You know, I'm ashamed to admit it, but I didn't know Kenya was this mountainous until making this trip. And this is where I'm going to bring Carolyn on our next visit. If you're a subscriber and watch a lot of our videos, I'm sure you can imagine how frustrating it was for me to know we were surrounded by some of the most amazing mountains in the world while visiting Nakuru, but I didn't have the opportunity to capture any video. But the real reason I'm spending this much time talking about the mountains and elevation is to stress that elevation matters. It's a much cooler climate than I expected. So we were in Kenya for 9 days, close to the equator, and the weather was cooler than it was where we live in Southeast Tennessee. Now, while in Kenya, I learned a few things about safaris. First, by definition, this is a safari. Safari is a Swahili word meaning journey. It originally referred to an overland journey to view and photograph wildlife in their natural habitats, primarily in Africa. Today, the term has evolved to encompass a broader range of experiences that combine adventure, wildlife observation, and cultural exploration. When it comes to safaris, what we're doing here is called a game drive. It's a guided tour in a 4x4 through the national park. And this is the kind of vehicle you want to be in on a game drive. There's plenty of room to move around. Many sources claim that if you're planning a first-time safari, Kenya, South Africa, or Tanzania are the best places to start. Like I mentioned during the intro, I'm not a safari expert, but it makes sense that Kenya is perfect for first-timers like myself. Both Lake Nakuru National Park and Nairobi National Park in my last video are places where wildlife, including large mammals like rhinos and buffalo, can be observed in close proximity to a major town or city. This is very unique as it offers a rare opportunity for visitors to experience wildlife without venturing far from urban conveniences. Now, some of you will get this and some of you won't. This experience reminds me of driving the loop around Cades Cove outside Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Now, if that makes sense, explain what I'm trying to say in the comments. In comparing this safari to Cades Cove, I mean, if you get that, we drove the loop, but I wanted to stay a few days. I wanted a lot more, but our hectic schedule prevented us from really diving into Kenya's amazing natural treasures. I mean, after all, we weren't there for safaris. We were ministering at an amazing church in Nairobi with some of the best people I've ever met. So I thank God for our time together, and I'm also thankful that we had this opportunity. And I think it says something that I wanted more. That means it was a great experience and absolutely breathtaking. Like I mentioned, Lake Nakuru is salty and the lake bed is real muddy. Local communities believe that the alkaline waters and mud of Lake Nakuru have healing properties, particularly for skin ailments. While I didn't see anyone near or in the lake during our visit, I read where they offer boat safaris, and that sounds pretty interesting. Some of the images in this video may look familiar. Lake Nakuru and the surrounding Rift Valley were used as backdrops in some of the earliest Hollywood films depicting African safaris, contributing to the exotic image of Africa in Western media. But if you don't recognize any scenery here, just pick a place within 100 miles. This part of Kenya is famous for being rich with inspiring scenery, diverse wildlife, fascinating geological features, and of course history. Hell's Gate National Park isn't too far from here, and that's where Disney's The Lion King was inspired. Aberdare National Park is historically significant as the place where Princess Elizabeth became Queen Elizabeth II after her father, King George VI, passed away while she was staying at the Treetops Lodge. So we weren't visiting Kenya for a vacation, but this excursion was a blessing to say the least. What I didn't know is that Nakuru is an exotic bucket list kind of vacation destination. And from what I can tell, it's more affordable than you might imagine. In my last safari video, I talked about Disney's Kilimanjaro safaris in Animal Kingdom. If you're wanting a real safari where you see these amazing animals in their natural habitat, or if you want to dive into the surrounding mountains while staying in lodges around the area, when compared to an average Walt Disney World vacation, this is affordable. Don't get me wrong, it's an action-packed kind of vacation, and it's the kind of adventure that would require a lot of research and careful planning. But let me put it this way, from what I experienced, Kenya has the potential of being the most desired vacation destination of the future. Seriously. If I had the time to really put in the research, I would do a video just about that. But now, to be fair, I'm not sure if that's what Kenyans want for their destiny. But if they do, the potential is limitless. I am so grateful for Pastor Machangi and my fellow ministers Josh and Jacob. We had a wonderful time on the safari, but the best part of our time in Kenya was spending it with wonderful people who treated us with warmth and honor. They added so much value to our lives. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment, and I'd really appreciate it if you shared this video. Here are some other videos you'll enjoy. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. My name is Bill Marion, and this is A Nose for Life.